As with anything investment-based, fortune favours the brave, doesn't it? If the market looks like it's a little bit tighter than it was, shall we say, or struggling a little bit, generally speaking, they're the good times to buy.
We are going to an auction house, but also the auction house has an estate agency arm attached to it as well. I've been in business with these guys for years, and I thought it'd be really cool if you can kind of hear it from the horse's mouth and actually understand, why does an agent want to work with an investor? What's that real compelling USP that you're going to have if you're trying to approach an estate agent? Rather than just talking about it, let's actually go and speak to them and actually hear it from them. Let's go speak to the auction house manager. So we've got Guy from Auction House Lincolnshire. He is the auction house manager. They've got an estate agency arm attached to kind of the auction house. It's called Hunters. Shall we just start with, what does make a good buyer for you?
I mean, a good buyer at auction for us is someone that's done the due diligence, knows what they're looking at, knows what they want, rather than we've seen trends in the past when the market was, shall we say, a little bit more buoyant than it is now. People buying stuff completely unaware, then trying to get out of contracts, things like that, which is incredibly problematic. So funds ready to go from a deposit point of view, a fee point of view, knowing exactly what it is that they're buying and exactly what's in the legal pack, as being the prime example of what you should be looking for prior to auction.
If someone came to you from scratch as a cold start, how would you build up that relationship with them today?
Yeah, so I get phone calls probably every day, near enough, from buyers, investors wanting deals. Because of the volume of people wanting to do that, ultimately, I've got no interest in that, because you'd rather deal with clients that you've worked with before, that, as you said, have put the money where their mouth is, and if they've made a transaction, they've committed to it, followed the word. That's how transactions should be done, and that's how relationships start. So you'd always look to do transactions from a buying and selling point of view with people that you've established in the industry as being good for the word, and you can trust them.
Yeah.
And there's so many people outside of that will ask the question, can we do a deal, but don't follow up on it. You've got to put the effort in at the start of a relationship to even establish one and then maintain it, rather than speculatively just ringing up out of the blue wanting a deal.
And they might not be full-time as well. They might just be doing it on the side. So
yeah, I guess most people are. People are, because I think most people, with the market as it is at the minute, and as we've seen over the last 3 or 4 years, if you're in property full-time, you've established them relationships already. As with anything that you're doing part-time that you're trying to grow, you've got to put the work in.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Nothing gets given to you.
Agreed.
You've got to put the work in, you've got to put the effort in.
What are you seeing at the minute in terms of, and I know this is more short-term, but the kind of trends in auction at the minute?
As of today, I mean, good quality auction stock always sells well.
What does that look like?
Always sells well. So that's the key. So we go through trends up and down the country, little hotspots in the market.
Yeah.
That one week is doing really well, the next week is struggling. There is, to my mind, no rhyme and reason to that. You can't pinpoint it, because you kind of got to be one step ahead. So you have to concentrate on good auction stock, which is anything below market value.
Yeah.
That is key. You need active buyers in the market. Anything and everything will sell at auction.
If it's
just the price. There has to be a reason for a buyer to buy at auction. There has to be an angle and an advantage for them.
And is that why stock that we call is done up, so stock that looks good, so a property that's actually in pretty good condition, doesn't really need any work necessarily, doesn't sell as well in auction because it's not looked at as an opportunity?
Yeah, totally. I mean, that is absolutely key, because it's, we went through a period in the market where houses that needed work would make more at auction than houses on the same street that had already been done.
I remember the good old days.
Absolutely baffling, but that was the perceived sort of, there's opportunity to add value. That's what people see, and the numbers almost become irrelevant when things are kind of euphoric in the marketplace.
Absolutely. From your perspective, would you ever go back in the room, or are you kind of just focused on now online auctions, and why?
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is a dilemma I've had since the start of COVID, really. I was really keen to get back in room at the start of COVID, didn't want to go online because, we were a very localised business at that point. I love the kind of the vibe of an in-room auction.
Yeah.
And I was very keen to protect that, but the results that have come from moving online, the flexibility that we've got with dates outweighs the benefit of going back in room at present. I would never say never.
Yeah.
You know, I would like to get in there at some point, but it certainly won't be for everything, because the market that we've got for the bulk of our stock is probably amplified by 5 or 6 times online.
Wow.
So if I'm doing my best job by my sellers, which is what I'm employed to do, you've got to get it out to the widest possible audience and get the best possible results. You know, I'll concentrate on working in the way that I work, delivering the results that we deliver, and you know, meets the needs of most of my clients without problem. We're at the whim of the market, aren't we? And it changes week by week at auction, and that's the beauty of having the onlines, is that you get a very real-time view of the market and the demand, rather than, you know, retail essentially waiting months to see what's happening.
And I think that's why we like auction, because although you can get, and it's no secret, you can get more for your properties on the market with an agent, we'd rather make less but have the certainty that it's going to sell. We're going to get an exchange of contracts and a certain amount of time to basically complete after that.
Yeah, and you know, any deal, it's all numbers at the end of the day, and there's good value in certainty and timescale. You're hanging on to something for another 3 months, it's costing you more money.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't see that. So, you know, people understanding not just the auction process and its pros and cons, but the overall deal that they've got is absolutely key to the process.
Yeah, because we've had, so that recent bungalow we sold, that completed in 8 to 10 days after exchange of contracts, which probably was the fastest completion we've had after exchange of contracts in auction, when the contract was actually 28 days. So the actual buyer was motivated to complete.
Really motivated to get in, because at the end of the day, he's paid money out for it, even in a form of a deposit. And in his mind, it was, you know, I want it paid so I can start work and get it earning for me.
Exactly.
And that is absolute, you know, that's what you want in a buyer, you know, down to a T.
And the other ones which I was speaking to you about recently was an 18-year-old and a 19-year-old that have set up a limited company, and they've just bought a property, you know, for 80-odd thousand pounds. So interesting to see that there's that kind of style of people in the market at the minute as well. Yeah,
I think, as with anything investment-based, fortune favours the brave, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And as you know, if the market looks like it's a little bit tighter than it was, shall we say, or struggling a little bit, generally speaking, they're the good times to buy. So people being brave and making those steps and buying and, you know, investing is a really, really positive sign for the overall sort of health of the property market, I guess. You know, now we're seeing things settle down a little bit more. I think there'll be more of that comes into play.
Excellent. So I think the kind of summary for people is, don't wait to buy. If you see an opportunity, if you see an angle on something, just snap it up and buy it.
Yeah, a deal's a deal.
Yeah.
The market conditions are irrelevant, because a deal's a deal, the numbers work. Unless you're a trader, property is not a short-term game.
Yeah.
So you have to look at the bigger picture and, you know, budget accordingly, of course.
Yeah.
And if you do that, if the numbers work, it works. You know, you move forward with it.
Excellent. And I'll drop a link in as well to your website. So if anyone's interested in looking at the properties that you've got for auction and wanting to buy stuff, they can have a look at it and they can register to bid and all the rest of it. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Guy, thank you very much.
No, you're welcome.
Really, really good.
Good to see you.
Pleasure to see you as well.
Cheers.
Thank you. Cool. So as you saw, that was Guy Leader from Auction House. So you heard it from the horse's mouth. What do you need to do to be a really, really good buyer at auction? What's the kind of stock that sells really well at auction as well? So if you're looking to sell properties in auction, what can you do? How do you price it? Where around the country does it work really, really well? So if you're interested in that, I'll drop Guy's details in here. I'll also drop his Auction House website as well. So if you're looking to buy or sell, contact Guy and I'm sure he'll help you out with that.